days. I hope it gets better for you. So, kind of hopping on this live stream a little bit late and did not have anything set up. So, we'll see how this goes. Either way, I'm still here for you guys to talk about aquariums, talk about fish, shrimp, plants, whatever you guys may have questions with your aquarium keeping. Because let's face it, there's lots of ways to do it. As many of you guys may have heard from me time and time again, so many ways to do it. Now, one person's way might be right, another person's way might be right as well. Sometimes there is wrongs, and that's what we're here is to ask questions. Oh, hey, what's going wrong? So we can help each other out. And luckily, it's not just me here talking to you. We got an amazing community that joins us on these live streams and helps us out as well. Because let's face it, as there being so many ways to keep aquariums, it also comes with so many different questions and different perspectives. So that's what we're here for. And not only do I learn, or do you learn, I learn as well. But we're going to keep it short. Usually we do these for an hour every Friday night, but we're only going to do it for a half hour because I got a club meeting I got to get ready for and got to do some things for it. Let me go ahead and jump in the top chat here because actually I don't even know how to do that on this new vertical. There we go. All messages. Hello, everybody in the chat. Good to see you guys in here. And do have a video coming for you guys this Saturday. So look out tomorrow. New video dropping. And you guys will see what that is soon. So I've still got to tag and bag all that. And still lots to do tonight. Aquarium Fantasy, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Says congrats getting 70K subscribers. I appreciate that. Aquarium Fantasy. Couldn't do it without you guys. Because obviously you guys are the subscribers. You guys are the ones that help me get there. Would love to see 100K at some point. And that's the next milestone. And slowly growing and getting there. I think with the videos that I'll be pushing out soon, it'll help get me towards that 100K. And it'll really get things moving. This, like, 2025 is going to be a good year because now that things are kind of built and settled, I'm getting things knocked off my list of other things that I've had to do within not even fish stuff, but everything else. Like, I've been knocking things out of the park, and I'm excited for the future here. So stay tuned. You're going to have a lot of new content coming out. I'm not going to talk about too much of what it is because I do get a lot of copycats that will try to beat me to the punch. And they're all going to have to play catch up after this 2025. Preaching Flamingo says, will blue gularis annihilate my scarlet baddest and pea puffer? So definitely the scarlet baddest would probably be an easy snack depending on the size of the blue gularis. And pea puffer might be able to get away. I don't know. They're kind of sharp. I don't know. They're kind of round. Might be harder to swallow, but I would say not a good combo at all with any of those. Preaching Flamingo says also, you getting back into blue gularis anytime soon? So I do have blue gularis. I am keeping blue gularis. The only problem is they're just really a labor of love to breed, and I just don't have the time to commit to them like I should. Like a lot of things I breed, they're easy or they naturally kind of breed out as I move things around, do things. And Gularis, unfortunately, breeding them is it's not that simple. You can't just put them, I don't know why you can't just put them in an aquarium. I mean, I know they have a dry season, but it really seems to be necessary. I know some people have done it, but I have never done it in the tank where I've had success with them just breeding out without a dry season. And having to simulate that dry season, which I got videos on breeding blue gularis killifish that way. It takes so much time and just effort to get like the male and the female conditioned to do it on the mops. I do plan on trying again here soon. Last time I tried, they were infertile. That was probably about a month ago. But I got a few different types of blue gularis right now. Jupiter One says, "What club are you going to, Pasco?" So yes, it will be the Pasco Club. Been a while since I've been. And we got King of DIY coming in January, so we'll be excited to have him down here in Florida. It's been a while since I've been to the club. I need to go. I really need to go. Dane Stevenson says the weather's good down there. LRB, you can go out and see the meteor storm tonight after midnight. So yeah, supposedly, what is it, the Gemini meteor shower or something like that going on. Right now the moon is way too bright. Speaking of which, we saw something crazy last night in the sky. Absolutely. I know this isn't fish involved, but it was something I haven't seen yet in the sky. And I don't think it was Starlink. Like normally you can see Starlink that's kind of travels behind itself, but it looks more tethered. But there was like these green lights way up high up in the sky, and they were just like following the same path. I don't know if they were drones or what. Could have been drones, but it was wild. They are all going from the same path. But they look like they're coming from where the naval base is. There's actually a naval base not too far from the area that they're all kind of coming from. So who knows? But that was wild. And then in the fish room, been moving a lot of things around, trying to get those a lot caught up with King of DIY coming here in January. I've got to try to make the fish room look as best as I can. I would like to, obviously, because that'll be a big deal for the channel, really, just to have some exposure from him and really to see him hang out. And like, we plan on actually making videos, it's not just hang out. So we will be giving you guys some good content, put it that way. Well, thank you, Mopor, for the reminder to rest and drink some water while streaming. Appreciate that. Good looking out for you. From you. Well, I appreciate that, preaching Flamingo. All right. Like I said, though, this is a Q&A, so I'm not really here to ramble on about myself, and I'm not going to be on here long. So if you guys got questions, now's the time. If not, then I don't know. I'll try to figure something out to ramble about. But I don't really like to do that. I really wish I could be live streaming where I want to be live streaming right now. So next Friday, hopefully, we'll see how many videos I get knocked out and where it is in the pipeline as far as releases. But I got this new spot in the house that hopefully I can do live stream next Friday. We'll do a full hour. But I'll be excited about it. It'll have actual, like, we got a couple of tanks, kind of terrarium things going on back here. I just set up some new paludariums. Aquarium Fantasy says maybe the meteor shower. Yeah, no, it wasn't meteors because meteors don't follow each other. At least like 30 of them in a row. At least is what I saw. Bill Jensen says, "Do you like cars or trucks?" That's tough. I like vans, cars, trucks. I like automobiles. I like motors, bikes. I like all that stuff. Brandy Rutledge says, "Too cold to order shrimp." No, it's we've been shipping all year round. We've got 96-hour heat packs, so they'll last a long time. We've been shipping all year round for a long, long time. So the only thing I would recommend is if it's going to be like negative degrees where you're at, maybe hold off till the next week to order. But if you're around freezing, especially if you're above freezing, super easy to ship. And just make sure that you guys don't leave them in your mailbox. There is lots on stock, LRBAquatics.com. Thank you for reminding me, Brandy, that I do got a website and I got to tell people about it. And as always, good to see you in here, Brandy. Hope you're doing well. The same with you, Janice. Good to see you in here too. A lot of people I wish I could say that to. I'm going to spend the live stream just doing that. Aquarium Fantasy says, "What club are you going to?" I'm going to be going to the Pasco Club. Let's see. Dean Stevenson says, "Sorry, no question tonight. It had just been a minute and wanted to stop and say hi. Have fun at your club meeting, because I'll try to stop it next week." Well, right on. Appreciate it. Jupiter One says, "My Neo Carinina took cold water well." Yeah, they do. They do fairly well. It's once you start getting to the freezing, not all of them will do well. Some of them will. Some of them won't. Some lines are harder than others. Matt Flash says, "Can you explain in your own words a paludarium?" Very interested. So, a paludarium is not an aquarium, and it's not a terrarium. It's right in between. It's a paludarium. So, it's like part water and part land. So, it's a little bit of both, which I'm excited about. It's actually two 40 gallons and a 60-gallon. And you guys should be seeing it here soon. I think last Friday, I gave you guys a little sneak peek of it. So if you go back, but Lady LRB's actually been working on it. We've got some plants in it and fish. We'll probably change out the fish. Just had fish in there to work on knocking stuff down, like sand that floats or dirt that floats. Oh, yeah, I remember that, Brandy. I hope it's going well, and hopefully you don't have much longer for recovery. Robert Johnston says, "What temp are your clown loaches at, and do you keep them with no filter as well?" So I am keeping them no filter. They're very happy with it. They're fine with it. The only thing that I have with keeping loaches with no filters is sometimes they will just kick a bunch of stuff into the water column, so then it'll get suspended in the water column, so you won't get very clear water out of it. And this can all depend on how clean your substrate is and what kind of substrate you're keeping them on. So if you got like rocks or pebbles, obviously they're not going to really kick much up out of those, opposed to like sand that's got mold sitting on it. But they keeping them at like mid 70s for the most part. That's what everything in my fish room mainly stays around. There's some fluctuation, usually towards the hotter side. Usually about 74, 76. And that's for everything. But I actually got some more clam loaches. Still want to get some more too. I wouldn't mind having a nice school of them. But they're not cheap. Definitely not cheap. All right, I am at the bottom of the chat, so if you got a question, that's where I'm at. If not, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be on here, because I've got things that are like trying to pull me over to getting them done, and I almost didn't even make it to be able to do this live stream. It's gonna be a long night. All right. Peace and love to you too, Drake on Tosh. Appreciate it. Preaching Flamingo says, "Get her done, right?" Story of my life. I love it though. I mean, it's better than being bored. There's so much to do. Fong Nugent says, "Hi, guy. I'm just starting keeping shrimp. SRC to be specific. What should be the best food for them?" Oh, the best food? That's really kind of like opinionated as far as what is best and what is not. Um, I personally use Tetracolor Tropical Granules for pretty much everything in my fish room besides my axolotls, just because it's too small for them. And as far as the shrimp, they absolutely love it, but definitely probably not the best. There's so many other good foods out there, but as far as like picking one's the best, I don't know. If you guys want to give Fong your guys' opinion on the best shrimp food out there. Feel free. This isn't a biased kind of live stream where we're branded one way or another. And maybe we'll figure out what a good shrimp food is that I haven't even tried. I have tried other shrimp foods, don't get me wrong. But it's just easier for me to feed everything the same thing. And I have tried lots. There's been so many people that try to get me on their food. I don't blame them because they're like, oh, if we can just get LRB away from those tetracolor granules, we'll be talking about ours. Randy Radlett says, so I got a 90-gallon off Facebook Market. I want parrotfish in a cars. What substrate? I would go with like a sand with them because you don't want to get like anything too pebbly, or you want it like pretty small grain because you don't want them to get that stuff stuck when they sift through it, and they will kind of sift through it. So I would prefer something like a sand, and you don't want like a hard rock or like something sharp or abrasive. Granted, they can deal with it, but why? And sand's the best. And it's really the best, in my opinion, for a lot of things. That would be my go-to substrate. Robert Johnson says, I support your desire to get more clowns. I have two groups, 30 in one tank, 4 to 7 inches. Wow. And 31 in another 2 to 3 inches. I'm all for it. Sounds like it. That is awesome. And I appreciate your support in my MTS and the want of more clown loaches, because you guys know how it is. Although I've probably set up well over 1,000 aquariums, I would like to have 1,000 aquariums. I would like to have more. Like, you could never have enough aquariums, at least for a guy like me. Like, I'm definitely addicted. But a 7-inch clown loach, that's good size. That's like decent, decent size. How long have you had that clown loach for? I'm kind of curious now. Aquarium Fantasy says, would you ever do a video when you feed all your tanks? You know, I've been meaning to do that video for so long. But the only issue with that video is like I need a camera person to do it. And it's not that easy getting a camera person. Especially just like a lot of things basic. But holy moly, here we go. King of DIY in the house. $20 super chat. It's a serious question. Less than 1 month from now, are we going to romantically embrace when we meet at your club, or are we going to lay me out? I'm leaning towards a romantic embrace. Fingers crossed. Oh no, we could go full WWE style. That'd be kind of fun for the audience. But that's what I love about you. You never know what you're gonna write. I was actually just talking about you earlier here in the live stream about how I'm excited for it, for you to come down here, and it's gonna be cool. But thank you for the support. I really, really appreciate it, bro. Randy Rutledge says, so fine sand. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be real fine. It could be up to like a bigger grain, like pool filter sand. It could be either or. All right. Well, sorry to hear that, Christina. Saying her order got delayed. Won't arrive till Monday. They should be good. We put the big heat pack in. Just make sure that they don't sit out in the mailbox. And we did throw you extra in there too. King of DY says, pick the song that plays. You gonna have a walkout song? That's what you need. I thought you had one like professionally done at some point, or you didn't have it done. Like a fan did it for you. It was pretty good. I remember. Uh, Queen of Ghosting says, "What brand of foods do you feed your fishes?" So Tetracolor Tropical Granules is mostly what I feed as far as like a processed food. And then they got like the way I keep my aquariums more natural, they've actually got a lot of other things to graze on, like microorganisms, plants, and just tidbits like Daphnia. I feed once in a while. And other things, but mostly Tetracolor Tropical Granules. I've tried many other foods, and the issue that usually comes with um, those, and the fact that I only use the Tetracolor Tropical Granules for the most part, is that all my fish eat it, all my shrimp eat it. I've tried other foods where like the food either is not the right consistency, it's not the right size, and or they just won't eat it. And when you got so many tanks, hundreds of aquariums like I do, and I don't got employees to work them, so I've got to deal with them myself. I've got to work them myself. If I have food rotten in any of those tanks, it becomes a problem. That's actually one of the biggest killer for a lot of fish is when that food sits and if it gets fungusy and white and like if the system can't eat it, it becomes really problematic and causes a lot of issues with fish. And if they eat it, eventually they will. It's not good, and it's hard to medicate or treat a fish for such an instance. And so the only way to get around that is to siphon out that like fungus nasty food before the fish eat it, which just creates more work. So say if I had like 5 or 10 tanks that the system, which is another topic, the system doesn't eat them, then that just creates so much work for me. Now, let's talk about the system as well. Not all systems are the same. So, say you got a real clean, sterile, specific tank. That food that's going to sit in your tank that's sterile is going to have more chance of rotting and not have other microorganisms in it to eat that excess food. And that excess food in my kind of tanks where they're filterless, they're natural. There's microorganisms that clean it up for me. So usually I don't have to worry about it. So even if a fish doesn't eat the food, um, the microorganisms will. And for the most part, for most foods, they will. Sometimes they won't. It just becomes the same issue again, repeated, just different scenarios. And thank you, King of DIY, for the congrats on the 70K. Let's go. Whoop, whoop. Exciting. Getting there. Mm-hmm. Robert Johnston says, I've grown most out for over 5 years now, but I did get a few with a head start at 4 inches 4 years ago. Yeah, it helps when you can get the clown loaches bigger. So you had 4 inches 4 years ago, and then you got one sitting at 7 inches. Man, they really do take some time. Oh, Six Speed says Home Depot has pool sand big bag for $5. Rainy Rutledge says, Lady LRB, I'm loving your plants in the background you are growing. She has been doing an awesome job. So many nice plants going on around here. Once again, I've been talking about doing a tour of that. One of those videos we've got to do here sooner than later, as well as the ones that are in the barn. King of DRY says those tetragranules are why Hikari and other big brands started creating new foods. Just saying. Yeah, I've tried like a Hikari and some other brands, and I know Tetracolor Tropical Granules isn't the best as far as like the ingredients, but it's just the most practical. When I'm keeping hundreds of aquariums, I've got to be practical about it. It's not like it's one thing to keep like 2 tanks, 5 tanks, 10 tanks, 20 tanks, 30 tanks, 50 tanks. But when you get into the multiple hundreds, like the systems are different. Huh. King of DIY says Tetra granules are the OG to any fish will eat it and color them up. Well, I think, and we've done a test, a lot has to do with that color, the color that they are. And that has a lot to do with it. We had put colors on a stick, and they would went the only color they went after was that red. Queen Blut of Ghosting says, "Do you grow your own live food?" So I do more during the warmer months, of course, with outside mosquito larvae and Daphnia. Flip Aquatics actually has this Daphnia food that he came out with, and he shared the recipe with me a long time ago, which kudos to him because I mean, not most people are just willing to share recipes. I never put it together myself to like try to see if it worked, but he ended up packaging it and actually making a Daphnia food, which I'm eventually going to make a video on because this stuff is legit. I wanted to at least like test it, make sure it runs, make sure it's worth like making a video on. And like this is going to be a game changer for me is having this Daphnia food. And I've been using it since Aquashella. And I've got so much Daphnia that's starting to grow out that I'm excited to share it with you guys. King of DIY says, but Walmart sells it, so it's not good, right? Question mark. Well, you are Canadian. Do you have Walmarts up there? Walmart pretty much sells everything, so you can't like just discount a brand because Walmart sells it. But I hear what you're saying. I actually get it from Chewy for super cheap, like $7 or $8 a can, and that's for the big can. That's really good price. Aquarium Fantasy says, Lucas, would you ever do filterless archer fish tank? Yeah, definitely would be easy to do. The only reason why I probably want to do it is because I've got to have a tank big enough for archer fish, which 75 gallons is probably about the minimum I would go for archer fish, if that. Like almost need a 125 minimum, I would say, for archer fish. But yeah, they would be cool fish. I just I don't have the right setup for them. They would be best done in like a paludarium, huge paludarium. Get like a 300-gallon paludarium. That'd be about the way I would do it. But they could do filterless easily because they don't like kick up the substrate. It wouldn't be hard on maintenance. They stay at the top. They don't need the filtration. They don't need the circulation and the air bubbles and all that stuff. Brandy Rutledge says that 90-gallon been sitting empty for a year in the garage. Should I test it to hold water outside first? Yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Never hurts. Better safe than sorry, especially if you're going to put it in a space that, like, God forbid, it would be the worst thing to have it leak. You know, sometimes we put our aquariums in spaces where, like, if it leaks, whatever, clean it up, wash the floors. At least for a guy like me, I've flooded my floors so many times doing water changes that, you just kind of get used to that sort of stuff. I haven't done it much in the new barn, but never hurts to test it. Just make sure that it's level and that you're not going to do more damage testing it in a space that's not level and could cause issues. And like it doesn't have to be perfectly level, but at least have it be decent. Johnny Bass, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that, Johnny Bass. Always good to see you in here. It says LRB head shrimp tank, old stem cutting from season tank, and moss and tank Shrimp died. Was gone empty till I put light on the tank. At night, seen two baby fish fry and microorganisms. Should I leave old water? I would say leave the old water. Definitely. Leave the old water. And just let nature do its thing. You could do like a small water change if you want to here and there just to grow things out because water changes do help to grow things out. So doesn't hurt to do little water changes. But if you got older water, it will help feed the microorganisms that will help feed the baby fish for you. Jessica Hussey says, LRB, do you keep different snails like rabbit snails, etc.? So I do have some mystery snails, which are actually on the website, and then I've also got some rabbit snails and pond snails. I got the ram's horn snails. Those are about the only like specific snails. Oh, I do got Malaysians and a few tanks, but for the most part, my water is still kind of acidic. I don't try to get too crazy with the snails. They don't breed a whole lot for me. Raul Duke says, have you ever tried line braiding rams, horn snails by their color? Seems like a good secondary project for some tanks already being used. I have 4 tanks right now with their own colors breeding true. So actually I do have a tank that breeds a lot of the blue ram's horns. I think there's some pink ones around. The only problem is like I'll put those in my tank, but there's so many other things that I actually need attention. So sometimes they'll breed out and they'll have like a bunch of the blues, and once in a while I'll just release those. And sometimes I just normally sell them as they are, or people will email me about them, and they're not top tier on my priority list of all the things that do need to be conserved, bred, and kept. There's a lot to work with these aquariums. Which don't get me wrong, I mean I love doing it and I manage it very well and like would love to have more, but I do got to prioritize what gets my attention and when. And it's cycles like a lot of things in life. Like I'll go through phases where I'll give this attention, I'll give that attention. Christina Morris says, Lucas, do you feed every day all your fish or what? And do you feed your ponds too? So I do feed all the fish and all the ponds every day. And the only time that I don't feed the ponds outside is like towards now where it's colder out, which I'll go like maybe every other day to feed my ponds outside because their metabolisms are going to be slower the colder that they are. But with all the indoor stuff, it's every day. And it takes me about 20 minutes. And we talked about this last Friday. Like if I had 1,000 tanks, I could probably do that in an hour. That would be kind of my limit. Because really, when it comes to keeping aquariums, it's really how many I want to spend my time feeding every day. Queen Blood of Ghosting says, "Do the goldfish feed on tetragranule? What you feed them?" So they do, and they usually got some guppy grass to feed on. And lately, I've been feeding them some duckweed. Brent J 2254 says, "Lucas, what's up? Would bristle nose plecos eat baby cherry shrimp? The day before my plecos arrived in the mail, found shrimp babies. I never thought they'd breed due to my water being so soft. 5GH, 2KH. Yeah, that's pretty soft. Neos are pretty prevalent though, and not real picky. So it doesn't surprise me that they bred because neocardinas are just hardcore. Especially if you get my lines, they've been through pretty much everything. The bristlenose will have a strong chance of eating your baby cherry shrimp. It may not eat them all, but it may eat some. It may eat them all. Depends on how well you feed it, how hungry it is. But yeah, you're not gonna probably end up with as many baby shrimp as if you didn't. Now, with the baby shrimp too, with your water being as soft as it is, it may be harder to get more numbers out of them as they try to do their first molts in that softer water. So the strong will survive. And that's usually how it goes with aquariums and breeding. That's why fish breed in numbers. That's why shrimp breed in a lot of numbers, because it is a numbers game. Brandy Rutledge says, LRB, have you been to Georgia Aquarium? It's pretty cool. Has fresh and salt water. So I have been. It's been, God, I think probably 10 plus years since I've been there, though. They had the big whale sharks and all that. Really neat. I wonder, I'm going to imagine they've done some different things from the last 10 years. Would be cool to revisit. Aquarium Fantasy says, I know archer fish would love to be in a pond outside. They probably would. If I had like more greenhouse space, I would love to do some stuff like that. Johnny Best says, let's show LRB some love. Smash the like button. Appreciate that, Johnny Best. You the man. Somebody's got to tell him or remind him, because I'm going to forget. Queen Blood of Ghosting says, how long do you put the aquarium lights for the plants? So some of them actually vary. Majority of the ones that I usually work in a lot and with fish, I'll run about 8 hours. But I've got some like on. I actually need to do a whole video of my fish barn and how I operate it, because it's kind of neat and interesting and how I use the light to my advantage. Like a lot of the tanks that wrap around, like my 20-gallon longs that have, I know they've got stronger light on them. I actually only run them for about 4 or 5 hours. That's mostly just due so I don't have to do so much maintenance on them. Kitty, you're whapping the microphone. My cat had to make its way. Oh, mama kitty. Also at Lucas, they sat not to feed cherry shrimp daily, but I know Placos need to eat daily. How would you go about feeding the tank? I feed my shrimp daily. I don't know why you want. Whoa, kitty! Crazy kitty! What are you doing? She's trying. Oh, sweet girl. You're all right. But yeah, as far as like, you should feed them every day. I would feed them every day. You just don't feed them a ton. Just feed them enough that they're eating something, because they do need that constant food source. Like things will only breed out as much as like there's food in the system to make them feel like they should be breeding. They're actually pretty smart as about what food's in the system, what's coming in, what's not. Oh, here we go. I don't know how I got way back up there. Oh yeah, because the cat knocked it down. Hunter Ingalls says, how would you approach keeping Mabuna like the Pseudometrovio de Masoni in the natural way that you keep your fish? Tank size, plants, stocking, water change schedule. So you would need a big tank for them, which is just proper care for the Mabuna. Mabunas just need big tanks. And I would just keep it no filter, just doing normal water changes with the Mabunas. You would probably want like a weekly 25% maintenance, and that's what I would recommend for pretty much all fish. The thing is you will want that system to be fairly cycled and probably already have like some kind of like smaller fish in it before, because with the bigger fish, they do create a lot bigger waste, which requires a lot bigger microscopic and microorganism biomass to be in the system, be able to take care of those bigger waste. It's kind of very similar to how I keep my axolotls with the natural aquarium method. And sometimes you could do that with, well, with the cichlids. I don't know. I would keep enough shrimp in my axolotl tanks, believe it or not, but they're not quite the hunters a Mabuna would be. And I'm sure the shrimp may play some help. I don't know what would be a equivalent to that for a Mabuna because they are so big. Besides, yeah, there's not a whole lot else you can keep in there with them. I would say having a bigger rock, so like bigger rocks as like your substrate. That way you can have more biofilm and mold actually exist within that bigger, thicker rock. And that would help a lot with that bigger waste from them. So if you did them on a sand, more than likely their waste would sit on that. Their mulm would sit on that, and you'd probably be apt to clean it. And if you over clean that mulm, it may not be able to take care of the waste enough. But you could do it as long as the system has enough microorganism biology biomass to it. All right. Oh, we're well over the half-hour mark. I was trying to make it short because I got fish to catch here. I think I'm not too far off the bottom of the chat, so let's keep going. Megan Hook says, I have a group of ivory mystery snails that have laid eggs, but none have hatched. Does breeding two ivory snail cause infertile eggs? Shouldn't. Maybe they're just trying, or maybe just female. I'm not a pro at breeding mystery snails, so couldn't really tell you what caused them to be infertile. Maybe somebody in the chat can help. I don't know if they could actually still lay eggs without being fertilized. So was it infertile really the issue? Huh, weird. That was weird. Aquarium fantasy. We had to delete those messages. I don't even know what that's about. Huh. All right, so Scott W says, "Where is the super chat?" I don't know, brother. I don't know, especially with these lives. But I was actually about to hop off, so I got to catch these fish for this club meeting. Leonardo the Useless says, "How many quarters do you think is too many in a 20-gallon in a tank similar to your style?" I would say 20 to 30 is good. Is it a 20 long or is it a 20 high? You probably, and it depends on the type of quarries as well. But you'll be surprised. I would say 30 bristlenose plecos and 25 Chilonothernia alleni, all sitting in a 20-gallon high. If that tells you anything. A lot of people think I just can't put a lot of fish in them, which not quite true. But anyways, I gotta hop off here because I gotta get fish caught. And I appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you guys have learned some things, and hopefully helped you guys out. So appreciate you guys. Till next time, everybody. Peace. Have a great one. Da 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 da.